So here we have the central dogma of DNA. DNA is transcribed to RNA, and RNA is translated to protein. So this first part is transcription, and the second part is translation. Okay. Remember that mRNA stands for messenger RNA. So messenger RNA leaves the nucleus and goes out to the ribosome, um, and that process is transcription. When you go from DNA to mRNA, that's transcription. The rRNA, the R stands for ribosomal. This is where proteins are made. So the mRNA goes to the rRNA. And then during the process of translation, the messenger RNA is translated to amino acids by the ribosome. The transfer or tRNA bring the amino acids. Okay. Now might be a good time to remember that DNA has two strands. It's a double helix. Its base pairs are A, C, T, and G. A bonds to T and C bonds to G. Its sugar is deoxyribonucleic acid, or deoxyribose. RNA is one strand. Its bases are A, C, U, and G. A bonds to U, C bonds to G, and its sugar is ribose. Okay, again, exponential growth is a curve. Each period has more growth than the previous period. In this graph down here, we start with some exponential growth, and as we approach carrying capacity, it levels off. So this would be the carrying capacity up here. Biodiversity helps ecosystems survive and change. The more diverse the gene pool, the more diverse the species, the more likely some part of the species will survive. Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium states that a population gene frequency will not change if there is no selection. Every species or every member of the population has the same chance of survival. And random mating, which means that there is no preference. It doesn't matter if it's a blue frog or a green frog, they all have an equal chance of mating and producing young. There is no migration, which means no one enters the population, no one leaves the population. And no mutation. There's no mistakes in the DNA when it is copied, no mistakes in meiosis, okay? And it has to be a large population. When you have small populations, like maybe 10 hamsters, that's a small population. And it wouldn't take much for a recessive gene to start showing up more often. Okay. But if you had 1,000 hamsters, it'd be less likely for a change to occur, okay, in the gene frequency. Now, this is theoretical. This is what it would take for the population's gene frequency to not change. But this does not exist in nature. There is selection. Some organisms are better prey than others. There is mating preferences. Many animals have mating rituals to show off, hey, I'm the one you should mate with. There is migration into and out of populations. There is mutations. All right. Most mutations don't do anything, but good or bad, but they do occur. We talked about this last time. Remember that photosynthesis and cellular respiration are a cycle. One feeds the other. But be familiar with both the word equation you see here and the chemical formula equation here. So if you need to pause and write this down, feel free to do so. All right. This is the cell cycle. So the shaded in area, that's interphase. You start with G1 or growth phase 1. The cell is going to grow and make its organelles. The S phase is the synthesis phase where the cell copies its DNA. Growth phase 2, you're going you're getting ready for mitosis. You're going to make extra organelles so that both daughter cells will have what they need. Then you go into mitosis, PMAT, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. All right. We'll talk more about those in a second. Then after telophase, the nucleus starts to reform and the new cells start to separate. Cytokinesis is the actual division. That's when the cells actually divide and become two completely different cells. All right, so here we have it in a little more detail. So, and there's a great Amoeba Sisters video that talks about these. Mitosis is asexual. Meiosis is for sexual reproduction. Mitosis produces copies, clones of your cells. So mitosis is going to happen when you get a cut and your skin needs to make new skin cells. Meiosis is going to happen in the ovaries or the testes in order to make a baby, right? Mitosis, again, you start with interphase, and then the first stage of mitosis is prophase. This DNA has been copied, the nuclear membrane breaks down, and the chromosomes form. In metaphase, the chromosomes line up across the middle. In anaphase, the sister chromatids are pulled apart. In telophase, a cleavage furrow starts to form. That's that kind of indentation you see in the middle. And then the cells move apart as the nuclear membrane reforms. And then finally, in cytokinesis, the cells divide and you get two new identical cells. Okay? Now, mitosis makes two cells. Meiosis happens twice. So you start with a diploid cell, and you get two cells after meiosis 1, and then in meiosis 2, you end up with 4 haploid cells, and those cells would either be gametes, either sperm or egg. Here's another breakdown. So mitosis, they make identical cells, makes two cells. It's only one division, it's asexual, and so you're going to have PMAT, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Meiosis makes haploid gametes. It does not make identical cells. It makes 4 instead of 2. It has 2 divisions instead of 1, and it's for sexual reproduction. So you're going to go through, since it's 2 divisions, you're going to go through prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and then prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, telophase 2. Also, side note that's not on the screen, prophase 1 is where crossing over occurs. All right, classification. Carolus Linnaeus was the first person to kind of scientifically try to classify living things. All right, and what he did, the main thing he contributed was the idea of binomial nomenclature, giving things 2 names, a genus and a species. So the genus is a kind of a big group. Acer is all the maples. Canis would be all the dogs, all the canines. All right. Acer rubrum refers to the red maple. So this is the red maple. Canis lupus means wolf, so this is the wolf canine, right? So it's kind of like saying Acer, the genus, is like saying we're talking about all the maples. When you say Acer rubrum, you're only talking about red maples. A mnemonic device to help remember the classification scheme is dumb kings play chess on funny green squares. All right. So DKP COFGS. So you have the domain, the kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. These two, genus is capitalized, species is not. They're both written in italics when you're writing a scientific name. Okay? Your domains are going to be archaea, prokaryote, and eukaryote. Archaea are the ancient, they're kind of like prokaryotes, but they're not exactly prokaryotes. We think they are some of the descended from some of the first things ever, and they're still pretty simple. Prokaryote do not have a nucleus. They do not have membrane-bound organelles, so they're like bacteria. Eukaryote is everything that the cells do have a nucleus and do have organelles. Right? So humans, dogs, cats, oak trees, dandelions, penguins, tuna fish, all eukaryotes. Okay? And then from there, you can talk about the kingdoms of plants, animals, so forth and so on. And then it breaks down more specific, until you get to the scientific name of a very specific thing like Canis lupus. All right, so primary succession is when there is no soil. And so first, you're going to have some mosses and some lichens. They're going to secrete some acids that kind of break down the rock. And then as the lichens live and die and the rocks break down, you're going to start getting a little bit of soil. Then you might get some grasses. And as the grasses grow, they break down the rock more. The grasses die, they become soil. And so eventually you might get some little shrubs in the new soil. And then you might get some trees. So that's primary succession. You're going from no soil to a forest over a long time, maybe hundreds of years. Okay. Secondary succession is a little quicker because you start with soil. So maybe there was a forest fire burned everything down, and so now you have soil, right? So now you're going to get some grasses, and then some shrubs, and then some trees. And so this may take decades rather than much longer because you're starting with soil. All right, and that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.